Hayden Panettiere's mother is breaking her silence again, and this time she is pointing directly to what she calls a toxic individual in her daughter's life. The new statement comes after her first reaction to Hayden's death sparked intense backlash. Lesley Vogel told Entertainment Tonight that although she and Hayden were estranged, it was not because she stopped caring for or loving her daughter. Vogel says the estrangement was connected to the involvement of someone she believes was toxic to Hayden. In her latest statement, Vogel said she believes that individual led to her death. She did not name the person in this new statement, but her earlier comments identified Hayden's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson. Vogel also claimed that Hayden had become involved with the wrong person and said her family had tried to remove him from her life but were ultimately unsuccessful. Vogel is also pointing to a new development in the case. The Drug Enforcement Administration has joined the investigation. She says that makes her believe there are still unanswered questions surrounding what happened. But Brian Hickerson's attorney is pushing back on the speculation. In a statement, his lawyer said Hayden's death remains under investigation and urged people to allow authorities to complete that process. The attorney also pointed to police reports saying there were no signs of foul play, while declining to comment further out of respect for Hayden's loved ones and the ongoing investigation. According to page 6, police records say Brian's brother, Zach Hickerson, found Hayden's body on a chair while Brian was reportedly sleeping in another room. Zach reportedly referred to Hayden as Brian's girlfriend while speaking with authorities. Hayden and Brian had been linked on and off since 2018 in a relationship that had previously been marked by allegations and cases involving domestic violence. Vogel's latest statement comes after her first public reaction was heavily criticized. In that initial statement, she directly named Brian Hickerson and said her family had been trying to get him out of Hayden's life for some time. But Vogel's latest comments are now putting Hayden's troubled relationship with Brian Hickerson back under the spotlight.
Hayden Panettiere's mother is breaking her silence following the actress's heartbreaking death, and she is now publicly speaking about the man she says the family had been trying to get out of her daughter's life. Hayden died on Sunday, August 16th, at the age of 36, after she was found unresponsive and in cardiac arrest at a Greenville, South Carolina residence. Her cause of death has not yet been confirmed. But Hayden's mother, Lesley Vogel, told NBC News that the person the family had been trying to get rid of for some time was Brian Hickerson, and that he was with Hayden when she died. Lesley also reflected on her daughter's life and career, describing Hayden as an incredibly talented person, while acknowledging how difficult growing up in the entertainment industry can be. This person in her life that we have been trying to get rid of for quite some time was with her at her death, and that was Brian Hickerson. There is a lot of history in the past that Brian has enabled Hayden many times, and this is why her father and I had been concerned for him for a long time. I think Hayden was an amazingly talented person in so many departments, and I think young people who grow up in the entertainment industry, it is a struggle, and it's a very challenging industry, and it's not unusual for them to sadly find the wrong path. I think it becomes very difficult to be true to yourself, and I think Hayden sadly lost her way, and I wish it were different. I wish she had stayed true to herself because she had many incredible attributes. I just feel that she's with her brother, and they're at peace. But her comments about Brian come against the backdrop of a deeply troubled relationship. Hayden and Brian first met through mutual friends in Los Angeles around 2018. After Hayden split from her former fiancé, Vladimir Klitschko. Their relationship later became turbulent, with Hayden accusing Brian of physical abuse and seeking legal protection from him. Brian was arrested multiple times over domestic violence allegations involving Hayden between 2019 and 2020. In July 2020, Hayden requested a restraining order against him. After that decision, Hayden publicly said she was prepared to do her part to make sure Brian never hurt anyone again. And years later, Hayden described an alleged incident in her memoir in which she said Brian beat her so severely that she was unable to leave the house for several weeks. She wrote that she did not report the incident at the time because she did not want the situation to become public. The hostility between Brian and Hayden's family was also public. In a past interview with TMZ, Brian lashed out at Hayden's mom, Lesley, calling her one of the worst people he had ever met and saying he could not deal with her. Now, after Hayden's death, those old tensions are coming back into focus because, according to police reporting, Brian and his brother, Zach Hickerson, were reportedly at the South Carolina Airbnb when Hayden went into cardiac arrest, and the details of what happened at that scene are now drawing even more attention.
Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, was reportedly at the South Carolina apartment when the actress went into cardiac arrest and died. And new details from the police report are now putting his behavior at the scene under online scrutiny. According to a police report cited by NBC News, both Brian and his brother Zach Hickerson were inside the apartment complex when emergency crews were called around 1:50 p.m. Sunday. First responders found Hayden in cardiac arrest and immediately began life-saving measures. But according to the report, the two brothers reacted very differently as paramedics fought to save her. Zach was reportedly very emotional while EMS workers were treating Hayden. Brian, meanwhile, allegedly did not become visibly emotional until after Hayden was pronounced dead at the scene at around 2:32 p.m. The report also says Brian showed police a bag containing medications Hayden was taking at the time of her death. And there's another layer to Brian and Hayden's relationship that was reportedly kept away from the public. TMZ previously reported that the pair had rekindled their romance, but kept it private because of Hayden's career. A source close to Brian told TMZ that the two had not actually broken up as many times as the public believed, and were reportedly still romantically involved while Hayden was promoting her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning. According to that source, Hayden's team had advised her to distance herself publicly, even though the two were allegedly still together in private. The couple was reportedly in the Greenville area frequently, although exactly what they were doing there when Hayden died remains unclear. And as soon as news broke that Brian had been at the scene, social media erupted with speculation. Some users immediately accused him of potentially having something to do with Hayden's death, while others demanded that he be investigated. One particularly disturbing theory circulating online claimed that a dose of Narcan found at the scene may have been used to revive Brian rather than Hayden, but there is no evidence establishing that this happened. Another commenter questioned why Narcan reportedly found at the apartment was not used on Hayden. Those are online theories, not confirmed findings from investigators, but now Brian's presence there has become another major focus of the public conversation. Because amid the growing backlash, Brian Hickerson has also deactivated his Instagram account. That came after people flooded the comments on his most recent post, with some users demanding answers and accusing him of being connected to Hayden's death.